It's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
Nerd breaking news. This is going to be our first video. Let's go around and just kind of introduce everybody here. My name is DJB Square. I am the host of the Nerd Breaking News. Right next to me is the kid. After right under him, it's Raul, and of course, the professor is with us as well. Today, we're going to be talking about Spider-Man, but more importantly, who is the best Spider-Man? So we're going to go ahead and break this down in a couple different ways because we had a little offside conversation about how we're going to do this, and honestly, it's just a lot more fun just to break it out into different things. So let's start it off with who do you guys believe is the best Spider-Man, as in the superhero Spider-Man, and we'll go ahead and start with the professor.
Here's my thing. I think that right now we're at this point of time where nerd things are just the quality is just so down. And we look back in the past with this nostalgic feeling, and we look back at people who in the past we were like, oh, that wouldn't work. And we kind of look back at it more fondly, even though I think the truth is that Tom Holland is still the best Spider Man, period. He defines the character. I think that when you go back and you look at how you first felt the first time you heard him as that character, we all instinctively went, that's the guy. So I think he's the top person. It's just that with the last movie, by seeing all three of them, it makes the other two look a lot better than they actually were. But I still think Tom Holland's the best Spider Man.
No, I'm seeing that the kid has something against that. So what do you think?
I First of all, I said a valid and very articulate response in terms of the nostalgia, and I think you have a very good point in terms of universally people were not hating on Tom Holland. I like that argument. What I'm going to push back on is that when we refer to Spider-Man, Tom Holland, I don't see. I see a First of all, Tom Holland looks like he's like 10. So, so Peter Parker is like 14, 15 when he gets his powers, depending on the incarnation of what volume you're reading up. Tom Holland is, and I said, and I talked uh, to DJ about this over the weekend. I think Tom Holland is the best indication of the balance between Peter and Spidey.
hmm
But if you take away one individual, like if you divide them, he's not the best in either one of them. For example, the best Spider-Man in terms of Spider-Man has to be Andrew Garfield. He's the only one. First of all, here's where Tom Holland loses a little bit of takes a little bit of L's, if you will. When you associate yourself over the story, not really him, with connections with Tony Stark and his technology, it takes away from the essence of who Spider-Man is. Spider-Man's a nerd. Spider-Man's an intellect. Andrew Garfield, unlike the predecessor of Maguire, and you actually see Andrew Garfield build his web shooters. You actually see the sarcastic tone, the jokes that he has as Spidey. You know, Spider-Man 2 was horrible. Nobody, we could all stipulate that on the record. Spider-Man 2 should have been a tax write-off, just like Batgirl. It was an embarrassment.
hmm
That's not Rhino. That's not Green Goblin. It is what it is. It is what it is. And they even cut MJ scene out. Like, like it was dumb. But I think the best Peter Parker, I'll probably give it
No,
to
that's
Tom.
not the conversation right now.
Oh,
No,
okay.
right now we're sticking with yeah. Right now we're gonna stick.
Right? Yeah,
You don't want to go into tangents.
okay. So in reference
This
to
guy's trying to
Spider-Man,
take over the show.
my conclusion is Andrew Garfield, and you saw, just like the professor said, you saw No Way Home gave credence to the older Spider-Mans and gave them, like to you said, made them more than what they are, to the point where Andrew Garfield is going to come back, and so is Maguire on two separate Sony projects because of. Oh, that's right, I did like him, but I didn't like him enough to watch part two and go to the box office.
Well, I agree with you 100%. I think Andrew Garfield is the best Spider-Man in every media that I've seen so far, and it's just simply put those snarky comments, that quib that he has. That's Spider-Man in the comic books. That's exactly what he does, and Andrew Garfield did a great job and was able to literally mimic that to a bone. What do you think, Raul? Who is your favorite Spider-Man?
Well, I think I'm gonna go with Andrew Garfield as well. I think he embodied. Yes, yes, yes. Hear me out. Hear me out. I think he embodied really you know, the perception that everyone had of what a Spider-Man should be. Both the character of Spider-Man per se, right? The superhero, and then when we talk about Peter Parker, and I'm not gonna go into that because that's a different segment, which already DJ alluded to. But
That is
you
correct.
have to put it, you have to put the two together to actually come out with an answer. And by me selecting Andrew Garfield, I'm not disqualifying all the good work that Tom Holland did, because I think he's on a close second. But I just think that the personality that he showed on the first movie and also the second movie, even though the story on part two was horrible, and like Sergio mentioned, nobody was willing to go to the theater to watch that. But it was the Spider-Man that he portrayed, like Sergio mentioned, how the buildup of how he became Spider-Man, and then the story. I think it was more compelling, more attractive to me. Not, I'll say this though, Tobey Maguire's dead last. I'll say that right now. And maybe on some other roles he was better, but as far as Spider-Man, and especially that third part, that third movie where he became like this double personality. I don't think it fit at all the history and the character of
You're
Spider-Man.
talking about Venom.
Correct.
All right,
When
all
Venom
right.
came in and whatnot.
What
So
they
yeah.
called Venom.
Yeah, Venom is not Spider-Man. You're
Well,
going off topic, Raul.
no, no, no. I was trying to make a point of why Tobey Maguire
I'm messing with you.
wasn't
I'm messing
fitting
with
necessarily.
you.
But yeah, I think there's a clear winner here, and I'm sorry
Yeah,
for the
obviously,
professor that he thought
the
that
professor. Yeah, the professor unfortunately gets an F in this one, as he gets
Ah,
3 on 1 on this one, and it
ah.
calls out a bad choice right there.
Before we move on, DJ, I want to stipulate something on the record, and I hope everybody else agrees with this. This is us saying live action physical Spider-Man. We could all stipulate that Into the Spider-Verse and Miles Morales is now the GOAT. It's the greatest thing ever. I'm just saying, I guess we're just talking about physical live action
That
because,
is correct,
okay,
because we
I just
all
want
we
to put
all
it on the
agree
record.
that the animation in the Spider Verse with Miles Morales is
Number one,
the best films that Spider Man franchise that's ever come out. So
correct.
we're not even going to argue that.
Oh, here we go,
Everybody
Professor.
knows,
Here we go, Professor. Here we go.
unless the professor has a
Ah,
different take. Unless the professor has a different take.
I think it was the best movie, but I don't think Miles Morales is the best character. If that
Oh,
makes any sense. So I
elaborate. How
think
about elaborate for us and tell us
I
why do you believe that?
I think what happens is the movie's just very well done. The plot's well done. The universe is well done. It's beautiful to look at. But is Miles Morales this amazing, extremely interesting character on the level of Peter Parker? I don't think so.
No, it's two different people. So I personally wouldn't even compare Miles Morales to Peter Parker.
Hmm.
I think that when you're doing something like this, you have to see the two individuals as two different characters, basically.
That's kind of actually my point. Because they're separate, I feel like what happens is because that's the main character in the best movie, there's this thing that we're doing now where we're kind of seeing it as that's the pinnacle Spider-Man. That is like the character. But I think we also to a certain degree forget about just how interesting Peter Parker is as a character and how when you're looking at that development from beginning to end, you've seen the character go through high school, get married, have Mephisto get rid of the marriage. You've seen him get older, build a business. They've added so many layers to that character that I think there are a few characters in fiction that can match. And I think for
And
Miles
I
Morales
agree.
to get on that level, Miles Morales would have to be like, they would need like 15 to 20 more years of writing for that character to catch up to what you can do with Peter Parker, I think.
Okay, so
Correct.
I guess we'll amend it. He's the
No,
best
I
character. He's
think
the
like the
best
way we
character
were
in.
saying it, I
He's
think
the
the way
best
we were
character in
saying
the
it.
best Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were all saying like in general Spider-Man
Yeah,
concept,
Yeah.
that universe itself, that film is the best one. I think
correct.
that's always the argument. It wasn't
And I
saying that
think
the
the professor
character
has a point.
specifically was the one.
I think the professor has a point in separating the characters because in reality, Miles Morales, even though he becomes Spider-Man, it's a totally different world from what the Peter Parker of the movies that we've seen, the comics that we've read, is a totally different character. Yes, he's bitten by radioactive spider. He uh, gets powers and even gets even more powers than the Spider-Man that we know, right? The Spider that we know and we love. So it's a totally parallel Spider
Mm-hmm.
World character. But even then, with all of that said, we have to give Miles Morales' world and his own Spider-Man, you know, his uh, right his top spot right there. So
Yeah.
given the
Yeah,
differences and whatnot,
we
he's still up there.
we could definitely put that honorable mention to Miles Morales, and the
Gold
films
star.
that they came. So definitely gold star. And of course, talking about Morales, we have been talking about Peter Parker. So why don't we talk about who we believe is the best Peter Parker in the films? So I think we'll go ahead and start with the kid on this one first because he was ready to jump into that topic at the beginning. So go ahead and finish your thoughts right there on who you think is the best Peter Parker.
It cannot be Andrew Garfield, and here's why. Andrew Garfield was too good looking to be Peter Parker. He was. If you go watch the original Amazing Spider-Man, I think it was 2012, when he gets bullied in the first 15 minutes, and he
It
has his
doesn't work.
nice hair and his nice clothes, and he's a skater kid now. Okay, Avril Lavigne, like the issue is that you can't believe that a good-looking guy like that is what Peter on the comics and the cartoons portrayed him to be. And I'm not talking about, unfortunately, the cartoons in the 90s, which we all loved and saw, because that Peter Parker was like 6'3". I'm like, that guy's not in high school. Like, come on.
You're like, stop lying.
He was, hey,
It
hey, I've
can't be
seen it in the college
Maguire.
football field.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
kids are coming out big now.
He went to Nebraska. He's 6'4" and he's 19. Uh,
Yeah, exactly.
it
Full
can't
court
be
husters.
it can't be Maguire because he's the only Spider-Man I knew who drove to middle school. It's just he's just not believable. He looked 45 when he went to high school. How are you older than Kirk Connors? Like it doesn't make sense. So I just think that he's out. So by default, we have to go with Holland because
Yeah.
he looks 12. So by default, he looks 12. We have to give him the default. That's the only reason.
I think you lose that argument because, as the professor mentioned earlier, we've seen Spider-Man grow in the comic books, and we've seen him mature and get married and all that stuff. What we're looking at is personality, not so much of the age.
why.
And when we're looking at that personality, I think McGuire pulled it off. We're talking about the outsider, the super nerd, the one that everybody kind of just picked on and pushed aside, the one that no one was looking at, didn't care much for. He was a background character, an NPC basically to these people. That's who Spider-Man is. McGuire doesn't. I mean, McGuire was the one who pulls that off, not Holland. Holland has some popularity in there, you know.
Hold on,
So
but
I think when it comes to Peter Parker, the person who does it right is uh McGuire.
you're missing the element of they're in high school. They chose to write a script
That's
consciously in
fine.
high
That's
school.
fine. But we're
McGuire looked like
talking
he's
about the
15.
characters, not about the environment here, Professor.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So in the comics, they have this thing that they call the Parker luck, right? Where Peter Parker just has bad luck. So I think the question is, okay, between the three Spider-Man, who's had the worst luck? Has it been Tobey Maguire Spider-Man? Has it been Tom Holland Spider-Man? Or has it been Andrew Garfield Spider-Man? By far, the answer is Tom Holland Spider-Man. When you're looking at just how much bad has happened to that character from beginning to end. Allow me to remind you. So first movie, he gets a little girlfriend, Spider-Man Homecoming, right? Her dad ends up being the Vulture. Wow, that's just bad. Second movie, what ends up happening is he's overseas on his little trip. He's getting attacked by all these monsters. Find out that that the monster's using his mentor's technology to try to kill him after his mentor's dead. So and strike three, mentor dies basically right in front of him. So I mean that's pretty rough. Talk about traumatizing. In the last one, Aunt May dies, and partially that's his fault too. He ends up causing some interdimensional problem, almost destroys the entire universe. And on top of that, too, he has to wipe the memories of his girlfriend, who he's been with for multiple movies, not just one, and his best friend, and he's by himself, and he loses his technology. Now he's just swinging around all by himself in New York with no friends in sight, and no one on Earth remember who he is. That is the worst luck you can possibly put out there, other than being Henry Cavill. So
Not as bad. Not as bad as you walking down the street dancing to what seems to be jazz or poetry slam. So that's bad luck.
But
That's bad
that was
luck
a
because
deliberate
that
decision.
ruined the series.
Hold on.
It
That
did.
ended the franchise right there.
Yeah, it
That's
did.
bad
It
luck.
did. Yeah.
Before they just did a timeline on Holland, allow me to retort with Maguire's bad luck. Let me go with Maguire's bad luck.
Thank you.
In Spider-Man 1, first of all, he lies to his uncle about going to the wrestling thing, which, lawyer term here, intervening cause of
Gets
his
right.
uncle's death. So
Gets Uncle Ben killed. Yes.
yeah, unlike
Uncle
the,
Ben
dif-
gets
the difference was that Holland, like an idiot, had 50,000 villains in his apartment chilling. Reasonable thought would be somebody's eventually going to go bad here. I mean, they have a history of being criminals. Somebody's eventually going to go bad. That's just bad conscious thought by Tom Holland's character.
Correct.
Maguire just said, "I'm just trying to make money to smash. That's all I'm doing. That's all. I'm going to impress a girl to buy a car. He couldn't even buy a car in New York without his people dying. Like that's a problem." So his uncle died. Let me remind you that Aunt May, the bills are piling up. This man, I think he was getting paid for every photographer for every picture that he showed Jameson. He was a freelance. He couldn't even get a full-time job. He couldn't do the pizza job because he got fired in part 2.
Mm-hmm.
His best friend, I'm assuming, dated / smashed his girl of his dreams.
Yep.
Like that didn't happen to Tom Holland. Nobody's talking to Ned.
Nope.
It happened in the second film. Daddy was talking to her. Daddy was talking to him in the second film.
Hold on. Go back to that movie. They didn't even kiss once.
It was still a date.
Yeah.
A date.
However,
it was flirting. Hey, she went off with him, not Holland.
2 rebuttals. 1.
But Betty wasn't about Peter. She was just dating Ned. But going back to
that's what I'm saying. She took Ned away from Peter. There was no Ned and Peter.
She took Ned away from Peter. Yeah, but who?
That's what you were arguing that Ned was a girlfriend.
I'm arguing at least Ned didn't take MJ. Like Maguire had to do it.
Oh, okay.
Maguire went to Thanksgiving dinner knowing that dude was messing around with his girl.
Which makes no sense. Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, when he's like, "Hey, I saved you 50,000 times in the span of 2 months," he still says, "Nah, I gotta go be Spider-Man." And in part 2, his mentor, Octavius, who essentially is giving him all the secrets of life in the span of 2-minute scenes, could have easily killed him several times and chose not to. Again, Aunt May's going through a mortgage. And then in the end, his best friend who got hired by Octavius, is now set to kill him in part 3. He can't catch a break. Look at the end of part 2, which, in my opinion, the best live action Spider-Man movie. That's a hot take. That's a hot take. Bring me Tom Holland movie. That movie's better.
This guy jumping topics already.
I got to
We'll bring that topic back. This guy is predicting the future for us right now.
Crystal ball.
Yeah, because Raul has to go. Raul has been quiet. Something's been steaming
Maguire
there.
took more L's than Holland.
It sounds like Raul has a hot take for us. Do you? Who's the best?
I mean, to be honest, I changed my mind. I was gonna go with Garfield, but after listening to the kids' arguments about how bad, how horrible Tobey Maguire had it as a Spider-Man, I think I'm gonna have to change my mind and go with Maguire in this one. He couldn't catch a break. You know, his fault that Uncle Ben died. Just trying to be with a girl, and at the end of the day, just my luck, my uncle died. And obviously he has to put the phrase out there, with great power comes great responsibility. And he goes, well, I was just trying to get a girl, but you died. Listen, just my luck. It's just, wow. He can catch a break with, trying to get a girl, be Spider-Man at the same time, be a good friend, because knock, knock, who's there but just your luck? You're going to be involved in the killing of your best friend's dad. He turned out to be the Green Goblin, but guess what? He was horrible. He was bad. And then you're going to have to make a choice between saving everyone else or saving who you want to be your girlfriend, but who was clearly dating your best friend. So far, you're in the friend zone. You're terrible Spider-Man. You can't get it going, and you got your uncle killed, who you love very, very much. Just like Sergio said, also, things are not going well. Bills are piling up. And poor, Aunt May, what are we going to do? I just got a job as a pizza.
Hey, the goblin blew up her house. It said, yeah, that's a big hole. That is a big hole to fix with plywood. That's not easy.
Listen,
especially at her age.
I don't know if Peter had money to pay for insurance.
But I don't think so.
The assumption will
and talking about Peter, like his apartment's falling apart.
Yeah.
And, like everything was falling apart, and the rent was super high. He was struggling. Was struggling.
Didn't the Russian guy want to kick him out every 2 minutes?
Every minute.
Sure did.
Every minute. That's why he was thinking through the window so they wouldn't catch him. Squatter rights.
Mary Jane almost got married in part 2.
Here's my thing.
Yeah.
Here's my thing.
Yeah.
So Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is a 40-year-old making 17-year-old decisions throughout that entire series. It is clear as day. You're looking at a grown man who just can't get it together. And as you get older and you watch those movies over and over and over again, you realize it's not just that you have bad luck. You just make bad choices. You make bad choices the whole way around. So when you look at a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, it's not necessarily a failure of luck of the universe against him. He's just an old man who just hasn't gotten it together, okay? That's all it is. Call it what it is.
There's so many people like that, so there's a lot of people who can relate.
That's true. That's true. But your fake birth certificate.
I was not Raul. Just for the record, I didn't vote for Maguire. I voted for Holland. I was just answering the professor's theory.
No, then great. Then there we go. Well, let me tell you this before I end my point. You're saying that Tom Holland, had it worse than the Maguire. You clearly were not listening when I said that he got his uncle killed and that the mortgage, clearly they sent an inspector because after that explosion that DJ just mentioned, I don't know. It was the entire building. I don't know how Aunt May was still alive after that explosion.
No, she ended up in the hospital.
She was alive. She was alive just a day later.
In the hospital. She was in the hospital screaming "El Diablo, El Diablo" the entire time, bro. Like she was in panic mode.
There we go.
This woman was praying, ready to go to bed, and all of a sudden the demon comes out of nowhere and tells her, "Finish it!" That's traumatizing.
But watch this.
And to be honest,
that's therapy right there.
So now, just to finish it, compare it to Tom Holland,
Mhm.
right? Like, hey, listen, a lot of people around you died. Well, listen, welcome to the spider world. Everybody dies that you care about, right? So that's just a given, okay? People who you love are gonna die. So, and let's just say this for a second. I know we're not talking about Mary Jane or the significant other that the Spider-Man might get in any other movies, but getting Zendaya even for one movie, okay, that's good enough for me to say, hey, you didn't have it that bad, okay? I, you
He
have
makes
to
a
think
great point.
about
He
that,
makes
But
a
she can't
great
even
point right there.
remember. She can't
okay?
even remember.
But that's afterwards. He has one good movie where they're together, and he saves her many, many times. He gets to be the hero, and she's so happy and excited about him being Spider-Man and whatnot. That all falls apart in part three, granted. But for one movie, he gets it good with the girl.
He
This guy
also,
on the other end, we just said it. It just never happened.
He
yeah,
got
So
it
he
that's
good
my
too.
take.
also, he
As
also,
well.
and Holland also has a guide in the chair, so he has someone to help him out. So
There we go.
let's just say McGuire did not have that. But it seems like we split this on 2 and 2 over here. Uh, let's go and do it real quick. Best Spider-Man film. We have 5 minutes, so tell me which is the one that you like. One sentence, pretty much, of why you like it, and we'll move on to the next one. Roll, you'll go first this time.
People are gonna think that I'm all over the place, right? I've picked already Garfield for the first part, then Maguire for the second. So I think the best movie to me is Spider-Man with Tom Holland, the part three. It's just having them all three together just brings a lot of nostalgia. Um, the fact that
That
yeah, no, listen,
no,
the
that's
professor
a
has
good
a
that's
point.
a good pick.
Yeah,
All right,
so
Roll.
I'll say this.
Let's go. The kid. Go ahead and throw your points out
Yeah,
there. Which one's
It,
your
it,
favorite
it,
film?
it
One
can't be
sentence.
the one that Raul just mentioned because it's Disney slash MCU's nostalgia just hitting you 24/7. It's Spider-Man 2 of 2004. Not only is it high ranking in terms of Rotten Tomato and all that stuff, if you want to believe in all that stuff, but you have to recall when it came out, it was critically acclaimed. It was considered one of the best, and it really is to this day, the one of the best sequels in terms of not even just comic book genre, just in general. It elevated part one to the highest order. And again, what made part two amazing was not only the story was great, it had a great villain, a great conflict, all that stuff. But look at the end. The end was just it resonates with you because he gets the girl in the end for the like Raul says, rarely, and she leaves her marriage, and she says, "Go get him, Tiger." He can't even give a good kiss to her because she says, "Go get him, Tiger." And does the movie end with Spider-Man joyfully going through New York? No, go look at it again. It ends in a sad face at Christian Dunst, knowing the pending doom of being now connected to Spider-Man.
That is, I can't say any better. So it is my pick as well. Professor, you have less than 3 minutes. Let's go ahead. Let's hear your pick.
You almost changed my mind, and I almost leaned towards Spider-Man 2 until I remembered the plot. And after remembering the plot, I've gone back to my original position, Spider-Verse.
Spider Verse is a great choice. All right, so that will cover everything that we wanted to cover with Spider Man. Hopefully, you like our video. Go ahead and hit the like, subscribe. This is our first video. Hopefully, we will be putting out more for sure. And we're just going to be talking about different topics. We're
It's
looking
dangerous
at
to go
talking about
alone.
college
Take
football.
this.
We're going to be talking about the NBA preview and in the future. So not only are we doing pop culture stuff, we're doing some sports stuff, and there's a lot more coming down the lines for you guys. So once again, I am the host DJ. Yeah, the kid, Raul, and the professor in this one. And thank you for tuning in. Definitely come tune in for the next one.